Yeehaw, brother, and welcome to Checkpoint on Campus. I am your host, Jacob Brothers, and joined with me, as always, is the fantastic Erica Sedora. Erica, how are you today?
Freaking awesome. How are you today?
I'm doing freaking awesomer because I have landed, I am settled, I am in the Houston Outlaws gamer room. I'm sitting where Jake probably sits. What a rush. But the bigger rush is this week's episode of the show. So coming up in the queue this week, we are going to be talking about Collegiate Rocket League going international. We're going to be touching on League of Legends Proving Grounds, and we're going to be wrapping it up with talking about the biggest acquisition of all time in video games, kind of maybe. All that coming up in this week's episode of On Campus. Don't you go anywhere.
Let's go. Let's energize your future with experiences that empower possibility. At Oakland University, at the heart of every program lies a pathway to self-discovery, where you'll learn by doing, whether it's in a lab, on a field, or in a community, where you can pursue your passions and be a part of something meaningful. So let's go beyond traditional thinking and discover your purpose. Learn more at oakland.edu/support.
Greetings once again, and welcome back to Checkpoint on Campus. Jacob Brothers is still here. Erica Sedora is still there. And joining us is Ruben Osterling. Ruben, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So you are kind of our galactic brain Rocket League boy, and there has kind of been some massive news going on top of the regular schedule. So walk us through everything, Ruben.
Okay, so it's going to be an amazing year for the Collegiate Rocket League. It is crazy with the avenues they're planning to take this year. So before we get into that, I just want to walk over the regular schedule they have this year. They got the open qualifiers from end of January and beginning of February. There's going to be 28 spots still available, so you could sign up via smash.gg. And then after that, you just got the Robin League play going on. There's going to be 30 teams fighting off from February 14th to March 18th. And then during that, after those, top 16 of that is going to go into the playoffs. And it's going to be them just kind of competing on March 21st and March 22nd. And then the top 6 teams of those, from the Western and Eastern Conference, are just going to go into the Springs Championship. And then the Spring Championship is going to be amazing. That's going to be a 2-day event. It's going to be March 30th and March 31st. They'll be walking around. The winner will be leaving with $100,000 in Scholastic Awards. But the amazing thing is they will also be qualified automatically for the CRL World Championship. And before you think of going death, yes, in June, CRL will host the first World Championship. And the only way that could work is if they start in Europe. So it's going to be very exciting coming up. More information is coming on the way, but pretty much certain CRL communities throughout Europe are going to start competing, having their own playoffs. And just like how we're doing it here in the U.S. and North America with the Western and Eastern Conference, top European teams are going to kind of collaborate, kind of then start wrestling with each other, have their own playoffs or have their own qualifying matches. And it's going to be amazing because by the time it's the summer, we're going to have North America and Europe's finest going head on head. And it's going to be amazing and very exciting. This is, again, the first time an esport is taking on such a global level at the collegiate level. And I'm just so excited to see what's going to happen.
Fantastic. Thank you, Ruben. Yeah, no, this is exactly what we want collegiate esports to be. I mean, because we've had Canada interact with North American schools, but it's still kind of the same region. So for a whole, all the way across the pond, just a short distance over there, it's kind of amazing that these worlds are coming together. So my question to you, Ruben, is the reign of North America done? Is EU just going to show up and be like, yeah, we're kind of better than everyone here? Or is it going to be actual competition?
I'm going to be honest. I'm really scared because there's so many good North American teams that we're used to. You got Alabama, Northwood, Texas. And to be honest, I'm really scared about Europe because we just haven't really seen a lot of how they play. And to be honest, again, this is going to be the best of the best, CRL teams in Europe, going against the best in North America. So I'm really nervous and excited at the same time. So I think it's going to be a really good match, and I think they'll kind of just level each other out.
You know what? I have a really silly question to ask. Will they change the driving orientation for Europe? We have it on the left side. They have it on the right side. That's an important question to ask because
that's why they're going to beat us. They play quite literally a different driving game than we do.
That's what I'm saying. We can't stand them.
They might have an advantage against us. I don't know. All I can say is so far, no, they haven't changed it.
That is a great point, though, because, film does play a major role. And so EU has all the film for North America since CRL does such a great job of actually broadcasting their games. And so these European teams, you don't really have that kind of information on them. So it will be interesting to see. Maybe as time goes on, Europe will do really good in the beginning. And then when the teams start to collide and there's more footage of the European teams, maybe North America starts to figure them out. And maybe Northwood's king. Or maybe we have a king not even in the US. But time will tell. Ruben, thank you so much for coming on to talk about that. The future for Rocket League is at its brightest. And coming up next, we're going to be talking about another bright esport, League of Legends, right after this. Welcome back, friends. Once again, the Checkpoint on campus. Jacob Brothers is still here. Erica Sadora is still there. We're talking about League of Legends Proving Grounds. It's been before in the past, but in this year, it's kind of trended in a new direction. So, Erica, give us a rundown about League of Legends Proving Grounds.
Well, first of all, I'm always excited to talk about League of Legends, but Proving Grounds in itself is a whole different beast to take on. Since January 11th, we've had teams on Academy and the Collegiate side fight each other to the death. Not literally, but on the Rift, it looks like it. And you have teams who are excellent, like Wildcard GG, Golden Guardians, as well as Winthrop, Maryville, fighting against each other. Again, I've talked to Jacob about this. This is the first time Academy and Collegiate players are actually duking it out on the Rift. We have a lot of storylines to go over, but the main thing I want to go over is UCI's substitutes and the way that these teams are able to communicate on the Rift. The biggest thing is that while I commend these teams for working so well together, it's really refreshing to see how Academy teams communicate with their other players and how Collegiate teams communicate with the other players. Jacob, what do you think is the main difference between Collegiate and Academy?
Well, I would think that the main difference is skill. I mean, I've talked about it in Overwatch until I was numb in the mouth. It was just, an Academy team came down into Collegiate, did everything, and then left. So in my brain, it's Academy, good, college, not on the same level.
Right. The thing here is that the Collegiate and Academy teams are actually pretty on par. We've had an excellent season last season, the last 2 seasons with Collegiate, but Academy, the roster changes and their coaches and everyone who is switching in and being subbed in are actually from the Collegiate scene and vice versa. Niles used to play for Maryville and he now used to play for the Golden Guardians and vice versa. We've had Doxa playing Taco Gaming, and he used to be a really big deal on Winthrop, but he switched over now to SLU, who we love. We love SLU, but we love Winthrop a lot more. And it's amazing to see how these teams can grow and also fluctuate between the Collegiate side and the Academy side. So I want to ask you right now, before I blab on further, how can they succeed with different resources?
Can college teams succeed compared to Academy teams? Well, that's kind of similar to what I wanted to ask you. So we're both asking a question right now. We're so in sync. So, because that's kind of the main difference is that Academy teams have an Academy budget, while college teams have a college budget. And so they both don't have access to the same coaching, not the same experience. So I would think that all these collegiate teams are at a disadvantage. And it sounds like that's not completely the case. So let's dig into that. What are the advantages and disadvantages of college and academy playing together? Because there's also players who do both at the same time. Does that help the scene? Would it be better if they were separated? What do you think?
So I think it really works well when they work together. We have not that many opportunities in the collegiate scene right now, even though they're expanding rapidly. But when you're in an academy team, you're being trained personally by the LCS. And that's a pretty big deal to young players, veteran players, anyone who's actually competed in the LCS knows that that's a privilege to have. But when you are switching between academy and collegiate teams, you're allowing yourself as an academy player for your teammates to be exposed to academy level playing. So while there's a lot of differences in resources that could be made for collegiate, the biggest thing is I really strongly believe academy should recruit a lot more collegiate teams.
So final question for me that kind of lines up with what you're saying. As far as a pipeline goes, I would argue that of collegiate esports, League of Legends has been the closest to where college players are now entering and it's working. So for a pipeline to exist, should it exist like this, where they're all mingled in, or should it be college plays by themselves, and then they move up to academy, and then they move up to the pros?
So that is a really good point. I really want to differentiate between CLOL and the academy, because CLOL in itself is great. I could talk about that all day. But when you get to the level of being able to win championships and maybe flex your team a little bit more, flex your college, you are able to move on to academy. And then afterwards, you are able to move on to the LCS. So I feel like there's already a pipeline there It's just very much player oriented, and they have to be really motivated themselves to move from collegiate to academy, then the LCS.
Fantastic. Well, there you have it, Erica. Thank you for talking to us about Proving Grounds. And time will only tell. As far as the pipeline, as far as mingling, not mingling, I'm very interested to see how Proving Grounds goes this year. Maybe at the end of the day, all these academy teams just mop the floor with college. We'll know our answer. But if college wins, we could be having a very different conversation. So time will only tell. I'll keep an eye out for that. And coming up next will be our infamous preview review coming up after this.
Welcome to our preview review. I'm Erica Sura, that's Jacob Brothers, and today we are joined with Sebastian Rooney, who is going to be tackling one of the greatest games ever. But right now, I'm going to be talking to you about Rocket League, and even though our great friend Ruben talked about it, please remember to sign up for the open qualifiers for the Eastern and Western Conference that's going to be going on January 29th through February 5 and 6, and you can sign up on smash.gg. And for Smash, we have the NACE Star League Smash Bros. That will begin January 27th, and it will be streamed every Thursday at 7 p.m. EST. Check out cslesports.com for more information. And now I will be handing it off to my dear friend Sebastian to talk about some COD.
All right, yeah. So COD started this week, day one. It was great. There's the good, the bad, and the ugly. We had 6 total games across the main and the secondary channel on College COD. But there's only 2 really good matches that happened this first day. We had St. Edwards beat Texas State in a 3-2, bring it all the way to the wire. Final map, final round. It was search and destroy, but St. Edwards was able to pull away with a day 1 dub. And secondarily, Concordia, Wisconsin beat Purdue 3-2 after being down 0-2 and mounting the comeback, and again bring it all the way down to the final round of the final map. Some other games that happened: Nebraska beat Iowa 3-1, Ohio State beat Bowling Green 3-1, and Utah beat Boise State 3-0, and Wisconsin beat St. Ambrose 3-0.
Thank you for that, Sebastian. Yeah, COD, it really is the best esport. I love watching it, and we've already had games go to the wire, so we're going to be seeing more of that this upcoming season. But wrapping up our review preview, CSGO, the registration for FACEIT's official CSGO championships will be closing on January 31st, and that involves North America, Europe, and South America. So be sure to sign up by January 31st, and all regions will start playing on February 5th. And last but most certainly not least, Halo. Reminder, College Halo is going to be starting another tournament. It's going to be starting on February 8th. There are still rooms for signups. They can only hold up to 32. So if you want to be involved, sign up now for your College Halo. That was your preview review. And coming up next, we're talking about one of the biggest acquisitions in video game history. Coming up after this. Hello for the last time this week. Jacob Brothers has been here the entire time, and Erica Zadora has also been here the entire time, and hopefully you have been here the entire time. We are here to talk about one of the biggest purchases in video game history, and that is that Microsoft has bought Blizzard. It is the news story of the week. They bought Blizzard for $68.7 billion. That's like buying Minecraft 68 times. This changes. I would too. This changes literally everything. Because now Microsoft has presence with Diablo, Overwatch, Candy Crush, StarCraft, Call of Duty, and World of Warcraft. So, Erica, what's your immediate thought when you hear that kind of news?
Candy Crush. Holy crap. That's a really competitive scene. If you've ever seen anyone, especially moms, play Candy Crush, I mean, that's a really big deal. Also, Diablo, what is it? StarCraft?
StarCraft, yeah.
Those are games that like no one has. I guess there's not a resurgence of them, but now there can be, and that's pretty amazing. So it's between shock. I'm impressed, but mostly shock. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, it'll be interesting because Diablo's coming up. I mean, personally, if you put like 5 moms on the stage playing Candy Crush, I'd watch it. I would watch it in a heartbeat. But StarCraft will probably make a resurgence now. Diablo 4 is still in the works, and then Overwatch 2. That's kind of a big thing. So that kind of takes us to our next point. So obviously for us, the next question is, what does this mean for collegiate esports? And so Microsoft obviously owns Halo, and currently Halo is doing great. They just put effort into running the professional scene. The professional scene is doing fantastic, and now College Halo is doing its own thing, but it's budding, it's being successful. So that ship is sailing smoothly. And now that they own Call of Duty, they also now have access to the Call of Duty League. Now, to my knowledge, Call of Duty does not run the College COD League, but Microsoft can look at what College COD is doing, and there's another esport. I don't know. It's kind of minor. It's called Overwatch. They've had kind of an interesting background of the esport itself is good and competitive, but the information flow, and I would argue the organization is not. So, Erica, my question to you is, if you were Microsoft, would you let these leagues continue to run themselves? Or if you see something like College Overwatch, would you try to give them like a College COD formula, or at least connect those people to talk to each other? Or what would you do in that chair?
I just feel like those games and games in the community themselves are just way too different beasts. And I feel like if they did want to combine them and they did want those like two communities to talk to each other, they really have to let it marinate first, because I'm sure we're all shocked about this, this big new purchase, but people who are actually competing in that scene, they might feel a little lost, because it's so sudden, it's so new. They have to really develop themselves first before Microsoft can be like, hey, this is the path I want you guys to take. Can you do it? Or you will do it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's also in the wake of Overwatch 2's on the horizon, and we don't know what's going on with that. And then there's a new Call of Duty game every year that sometimes changes how many people are on a team. And so there's all that. But then there's also the piece that now Microsoft has access to the Overwatch League and the Call of Duty League, which are the two biggest professional esports, or two of the biggest professional esports. And so you could even argue that maybe as they try to restructure those two top dogs, maybe that trickles down to the collegiate level. So we'll have to see. Personally, I would like it if Microsoft kind of nudged Overwatch a little bit, like, hey, let's try doing some things differently, especially with messaging. It's kind of my cry for help. But once again, we're really not going to know until we see it. But I think it'd be foolish of us to assume that nothing is going to change on the collegiate level, because Microsoft is a huge company. They know that esports is huge. They are now prioritizing esports, and collegiate esports is on the rise. So you put all that into a mixer, you get a slush of whatever happens in the future. But we will see. I personally can't wait to see what happens. But that is our show. Thank you so much for watching. We hope that you enjoyed it. We hope that you have a fantastic week. And we will be back next week with another high-octane show. And unless you might have forgotten, let me remind you that we will always and forever love you. You guys have a great week.